Alright everyone, I have a really fun video to share with you. We were invited by Seattle Elliott Bay Ineos Grenadier to go to Dirtfish for the day and test out the Ineos Grenadier, run it around the Dirtfish track. Now, Dirtfish is amazing. Dirtfish is a rally school. They are just, they have an amazing facility. We took a tour of that. We had a blast. We got to check out all of their just amazing rally cars. And they have a special course for off-road vehicles that we were fortunate enough to be able to take the Ineos Grenadier out on. So we spent the entire day out exploring the Grenadier. But if you have a chance to get out to Dirtfish, which is in Snoqualmie, get out to Snoqualmie, Washington. Check out Dirtfish. If you're interested in rally cars or learning how to rally, this is the place to do it. So we were given access to a bunch of Grenadiers for the day, and my son and I, we had an amazing time. There were a bunch of YouTubers out here. There were a bunch of people who were interested in the Grenadier, and Elliott Bay Grenadier invited us out, and we were just super stoked to be able to get out here and really climb inside these trucks, test them out, and had a blast. They had an amazing course, lots of water, a lot of mud. They had some cool hills and some opportunities for us to test out not just their water fording, but really get into the mechanics, test out, the transfer case. It's a we're going to go into the transfer case in a little while, but it's unique. It's not like my part-time four-wheel drive systems that I've got on all my other vehicles. So I did have an old Jeep that was full-time four-wheel drive, similar to this, but different than that Jeep. This has a center locking diff. Also different from the Jeep is the price tag. So these are really pricey vehicles. The one we're looking at here, I think, was priced out around $90,000. Some of the vehicles we drove in today were like lower. They had some 80s. They had one, I think it was 75,000. They had a lot of new ones out here, and they've got some used ones also. It was an absolutely brilliant day, and we really had a blast just cruising through the mud and getting dirty and crawling underneath these trucks and taking a look at really what makes them tick. So really appreciative of Elliott Bay Ineos Grenadier and the invitation, and Dirtfish for providing this amazing off-road course and letting us get out and try it. Now, one of the big differences between this and the vehicles I usually drive, I do a lot of off-roading, some overlanding, and this is really a very purpose-built vehicle, really designed for overlanding. It's a larger vehicle. It's larger than my 4Runners. It is definitely not a rock crawler. Like, if you look at the wheels, the tires, the way it's all set up, it's definitely for overlanding. However, it's also not quite set up the way my 4Runner TRD Pro is set up. If you look at these shocks, these are nice shocks. They're really good. They're coil-over springs. The difference is my TRD Pro really is built for going fast down dirt trails, bombing the trails, and 50, 60 miles an hour on a dirt road, and 4Runner just is in its element. It's got the Fox shocks. It does a great job. These are really more for like that long, comfortable overlanding experience. One of the trucks we got to spend a lot of time in was this really cool Jurassic Park Grenadier. We spent a lot of time behind the wheel in this vehicle. It's super cool. It's in the magic mushroom color, and then they added this red paint accents. I actually think they're probably stickers or vinyl, right? It's a vinyl wrap. So what we did is we hopped in here with one of the folks to get like an orientation about, like, where's the track, how does it go, where should we go, and we got to go through the course the first time with him. We didn't notice. You hear that? It's a rattle.
You said that rattling's their recovery kit. It's not an actual body.
Yeah. So recovery kit. Now, we would pop in and out of the trucks. We'd hop out. We'd let somebody else drive. We'd jump back in. These trucks it's interesting because they have these, they look like snorkels, but they're actually called air intakes, and they're not designed for water fording. They're actually designed just to get the air intake up higher in the air for dust.
To the bottom of the center console. So it's waterproof.
Now,
cool.
the vehicle itself does have some decent waterproofing other than that air intake. So you can go really deep into it. It's all designed to have all the electronics up pretty high, so you won't flood anything out if you go through water that's up to the doors. A lot of the switches you'll notice are up on the ceiling, and that is where they put a lot of that electronics just to keep it safely away from water, because there are people who take these out. This is not just an American product, but they're big in Australia now, and they're all over the world, and there's a lot of places that do deep water crossings. The water we played in on this day was really shallow. I mean, it wasn't even up to the doors. So I have done more than a couple of water crossings where I've had water up over the side windows.
Just playing for hire.
Yeah, it's not even. It's in all-wheel drive. It's not even in locked mode.
Oh.
I'll switch it in locked mode in a minute. So right now it's driving like a Outback would, like just all-wheel drive. But
I'd say a little more than an Outback.
put in to get it in. Before it's basically like one-wheel drive, two-wheel drive.
So it does have front and rear lockers, and it has a center differential lock. So the reason
Torsion center.
you have a center lock is because you don't want to drive around
That's cool though. I didn't realize
with the
it was
center lock
the center locking disc.
all the time. It's just not great for your tires. It's not great for the truck. You want there to be some disengagement. Otherwise, it's not great. So as we're driving around the course with this guy, he's kind of showing us where the cones are, what areas we're not allowed to cross. And he was pretty gentle with it. I think trying to give us an idea of kind of what was expected. So, and here's the reality. If it were for my truck, and it were brand new, I would probably be pretty gentle with it. But we were invited to come out here and kind of put it through its paces and see what it can do. So there were a couple times where Colin and I just let it rip. And it was a good time. We thoroughly enjoyed the Grenadier. Now, comparing this to my 4Runner, I'd say this is, I have the TRD Pro. It has the nice faux leather seats, the stitching. It's got, it feels nice. It's carbon fiber. It's got some nice stuff in it. This has a very rugged interior.
Water feels like Sequoia. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we were comparing this right here to Tahoya, which is another local off-roading area, which has a lot of curated off-road sites. We drove through a little tank trap here. This is probably some of the deeper water, and it did get up pretty close to the door jams. Then we come up to this nice off-camber
Wow.
Yeah, seriously.
off-camber area with a little tank trap behind it. And if I remember correctly, he did not have it engaged in. He did not have the lockers engaged, so I believe front and rear lockers were turned off.
It's quiet too.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
a lot of- Just enough engine noise. We can hear what's going on.
Now the engine in this is technically it's a BMW engine. It's the same engine they use in the Toyota Supra. It's detuned, so it's putting out good horsepower, but not so much that you're going to be busting stuff up.
You're not feeling and hearing every creak of the suspension either.
Yeah, it's not what's pinstriping. Steering saw, you guys see.
Yeah.
Really solid steering.
The pinstriping will add to the Jurassic Park vibe.
Oh yeah, in this part of the video, we're driving around in the Jurassic Park,
Yes, get some Ineoses
in the Jurassic Park
in the
Grenadier.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, they should. They should. Probably will.
Interesting. The instrument cluster on this is in the center. I didn't like it. One of my big complaints was I couldn't readily tell what gear I was in.
Jeeps.
I'll bet you, had I spent, a weekend driving it around, I would have been able to just know what gear I was in. But with the gear shifter, it's a BMW gear shifter, and that instrument cluster being in the middle, and the way I have the infotainment center set up, the speed and the gearing, the gear that you're in,
Yeah.
is really difficult to see. Now here, we're not even in water that's up to the rock sliders. Now we're up to the rock sliders. So it had been raining for several days prior to this event. So and they had a big windstorm the night before.
Breather diffs automatically seal.
So what would be nice also is part of the fording equipment is if they had some sort of way to.
I'd actually like to see a service of this after, or the diff service.
It would be nice if the differential breather tubes would have some sort of a actuator to close them off when you're doing water crossing. That way you don't get water seeping back through your breather tubes. I know some vehicles route them up high. I know others, they have little ball checks in them. But still, when you're playing in water and you're playing in the mud, you do wind up getting some water up your differential sometimes, and that can be a problem. So yeah, I would be interested to see after a day of lots of people bombing around in the mud.
Put it in drive.
Here's that instrument cluster. It's really hard to tell what gear you're in. It's BMW shifter. I struggled. Here's the cool thing. We got to go out without, after we went through the course once, they let us go out and take it on our own.
Good. You guys good? Yeah. You went through the course once. Yep. I'm trusting you.
Yes, sir,
All right.
got you.
And if we break it, I get to buy it.
If you break it, that's why you have your insurance card.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we had an amazing time. The dudes over there at Elliott Bay Grenadier are friggin' amazing. We really enjoyed them. Aiden is the salesperson I've been talking to. Here's the thing. So This gear shift, boy, complicated. It just took me a few minutes to get used to it. Colin took right to it. Colin worked at a car dealership for a while, and he's driven these BMWs, with a shifter, and he was pretty familiar with it. But me, I struggled. He felt it was really planted. He just kept saying over and over again just how solid it felt compared to his very light Toyota Tacoma, which bounces everywhere and it has a very light feel to it. This is very different. It's very solid, very heavy. This truck weighs way more than his Tacoma. This truck is way bigger than my 4Runner. It's interesting. I also have a Land Cruiser, but they're not even in the same league. My Land Cruiser is a 1972 FJ40. It's on 37-inch tires. It's a purpose-built rock crawler and trail runner. And this is really built more for long trips, right? You've got these roof racks. There you go. Like, it had some interesting, like, you see up in the upper or lower left corner of that infotainment screen. It's hard to see in that, but there was just a small box that would say D, but then it would have like a letter behind it or a number behind it. I could never quite figure out exactly what it was talking about. Yeah, and I'm telling Colin this. I was like, it was a bit much because like the sales guys were like literally like 50 yards away, could totally see us bombing through that. I was like, let's save that crazy stuff for when we're back in the brush, and they won't yell at us and kick us off the track.
Controls are pretty intuitive.
Yeah, except for that shifter.
I'm curious about this. How do you know what gear you're in?
Yeah, I struggled. Like, what the hell gear are we in? It took me forever to find it on that infotainment screen.
I'm wondering if there's somewhere to...
I suspect. But it's not.
There's your RPM.
RPMs. 1DH. Middle
Oh,
2.
there you go.
That's it. Shows right there.
Tiny. What the hell's that about?
So that's first. Second. No. Go back to drive. 2DH. I don't know what 2DH.
High?
Yeah, I don't think we're in low.
No,
we're not in low. We're in high.
Would you check that in low?
No.
Okay. I want to see what that looks like.
Oh, actually.
Now, the infotainment screen right now is set to the off-road mode, so it's not your typical driving instrument cluster with your like
Center locked.
with a speedo and a RPM gauge.
I'll be real. Initial driving impressions off-road. I like it. Seems very planted.
Well, for $80,000, $90,000, it better fit planted. This does have something that I do miss on the 4Runner. The 4Runner doesn't have a solid front axle. The Grenadier does have a solid front axle. It also comes with real front locking differential. My Land Cruiser has a solid front, and it is very different. However, because the wheelbase on these are dramatically different. This is a very large vehicle. This vehicle is built for comfort. It's built for expeditions. It's built for, if you want to go camping for a week, you can load all of your gear
A little slow. There you go.
and get back into back far into where you want to go. So
Put it into low.
my purpose really for looking into the
Neutral.
Grenadier in the first place.
Neutral. And pull back.
Yeah, we're struggling right here.
Oh.
What gear are we in?
Mm-hmm.
How do we lock this thing up? Engaging the transfer case is different. You know, I do like that it's got a actual.
No angry noises. But I'm not unlocked, so I'm just in all-wheel drive.
I do like that it has an actual lever, mechanical connection to the transfer case. That's something that 4Runner has that I love. It's something my Land Cruiser has. The Tacoma does not, actually. The Tacoma does not have an actual mechanical connection. It uses a button for the transfer
Before we
case.
go over these little hills, let's try to put it back into let's put it into center lock. So neutral. Up, over. Just up and over. Mm-hmm. There we go. That's low.
That's low.
I feel like monkeys humping a football here. Are we in high? Are we in low? What are we doing?
Now it indicates low.
Low, yeah. The low feels pretty good. So let's go that way.
Yeah, around the orange.
Oh,
And then over the.
So they did have parts of the course that they had to close off the night before. There had been a windstorm, and there were some down trees. I would have enjoyed getting out there and clearing the down trees. But, some of the Grenadiers had winches mounted,
Departure
hidden winches,
and
which were
approaching
pretty cool.
are nice. I haven't heard any rubbing on anything.
Yeah. The turning is nicer than you'd expect to. Like, I know people are crazy about that, but I mean, like, there's definitely, it feels a little short, but nothing where it's like, nothing egregious.
There's that air intake. Now, if I were to buy a Grenadier, it would definitely be with this color. It would be the Magic Mushroom. I don't know that I need all the red
No, it's like,
Jurassic Park accents, but it was fun.
Just slow and steady.
We're coming back to the salespeople, and I was like, don't get kicked off before my turn.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, as I was driving through, some of the things that I noticed, again, my biggest complaint I'm going to say is just knowing what gear I was in. In all my other vehicles, and it's obvious, like my Land Cruiser is a manual, so I know exactly what gear I'm in at all times. In the 4Runner, it tells me very clearly right there in the center of my dash what gear I'm in. Now, really what I'm after is another family vehicle, and this really got my attention. So my daughter is turning old enough now to get a car. She's about to start driver's ed, and we're going to need another vehicle. and this seemed like a good option for us. So it has plenty of space. You can kit this out with all kinds of like refrigerators and drawers. It's, I could put a rooftop tent on it. Not a big fan of rooftop tents, but this is definitely a large vehicle that would be fantastic to add to the garage. The roof racks, the ladders, the little ladders, which are amazing. You can get up on the roof. So this is a really interesting vehicle that I'm really I'm drawn to. Like just the cargo space in here. It's massive. There's so much room here. So I've been debating, do I buy this for myself, give my 4Runner to one of the kids to drive around. These hidden winches are pretty cool. I've got a winch on my 4Runner, so definitely this is something I would be interested in adding if I were to purchase this. These are great vehicles. I don't necessarily know if this is what I'll be going with. I've been toying with the idea of buying another 4Runner. That would put us at 3 4Runners. I also thought about maybe a Toyota Tacoma. The Tacoma would be a nice add. My son has a Tacoma, and I really like it. So that was also a possibility. She had wanted a Jeep, but I'm just not crazy about the current status of Jeep with Stellantis and all the problems that they're having with manufacturing, and it's not looking great for Jeep right now. Toyota looks really good. Toyota build quality is amazing. The build quality on this also looks really amazing. It's I believe made in the old Mercedes Glindelwagen factory, if I remember correctly. It does look a lot like a one of the later Land Rovers, which is super cool. I think to me this looks like a cross between a Land Rover and a Glindelwagen. Two of my all-time favorite off-road vehicles. I think they're beautiful. This is like a work of art. Like when you just look at the function, the design, the way they've chosen every little element for this vehicle just is beautiful. It's amazing. I think it is one of the very nicest looking vehicles for sale, new vehicles for sale today. So the question for myself now is, do I go with the Grenadier? Do I go cheap and find a used Tacoma? Do I buy the new 4Runner? Haven't been in the brand new 4Runner, the 6th gen 4Runner yet, so maybe it will be a 5th gen 4Runner. Oh, so many choices. But the reality is, we need another car for the family, and while I am a huge Toyota guy, this Grenadier has certainly made its way onto my short list. So for sure, Jeep is out. The Toyotas are high up on my list. I had originally toyed with the idea of a Mazda Miata, one of the newer Mazda Miatas. And I test drove one, and I brought it home, and my wife looked at it and said, "For Carly?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Nope, absolutely nope." So won't be bringing home a Miata, but this is definitely a contender. Not that I would let the 17-year-old daily drive this. I would probably have her drive one of the 4Runners. I would drive this because this is an amazing vehicle, and yeah, I want to put all the scratches on it. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like and subscribe button.